Hello, everyone. This is Tim Pichot, and welcome to the Liberty Advisor podcast. You can find us on all the enemy platforms at libertyadvisor.com. Also want to point out that we are live streaming to DLive, Twitch, YouTube, not Facebook today, Twitter, and probably a couple other platforms I'm missing. So I'd encourage you guys to check us out on all decentralized platforms. And speaking of decentralized platforms, we've got Mr. Decentralization himself on the podcast, Mr. Ernest Hancock. Ernie is a longtime libertarian activist. Some of you may have heard of the Ron Paul Revolution, and that was actually the logo behind that was actually Ernie's creation. He held the first Ron Paul meetup group in America. I think that was back in 2007. Been a huge fixture in libertarian politics, probably since around the time I was alive. He's been an early evangelizer of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and was probably the second radio show host in America to start talking about Bitcoin behind Ian Freeman of Free Talk Live, who is also a host on the Liberty Radio Network, better known as LRN.FM, where Ernie can be found broadcasting their morning show from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which means he has to wake up very early when we're on Pacific Coast time. And one thing that Ernie has never been accused of is being low energy. So if he was ever in a debate with Donald Trump, he wouldn't be called low energy Ernie, that's for sure. But not sure what Ernie puts, or not sure what Donna puts in Ernie's coffee every morning. But if you want a high-powered, high-energy,
bulletproof,
no BS, get to the bottom of it, long-format interviews, I'd highly encourage you to check out his show and also to check out freedomsphoenix.com and pirateswithoutborders.com. I mean, just this week he's had on Doug Casey, Jeff Berwick, Patrick Wood. Somehow I snuck in there as well. And, if you just look at the whole, solar system of people around Ernie, it's quite an incredible thing that he has going on. And one thing about Ernie is, he's a guy that's never sold out, and he lives his life just the way you'd expect him to. He's had a big influence on me, and not a show goes by where something Ernie said or coined doesn't somehow make its way into my podcast. I've used there's two types of people in this world: those who want to be left alone and those who won't leave them alone. Which one are you? I've used the they, them, those quite a bit, the grandma just button, and of course, skip to the end. And in the grand scheme of things, I'm a minnow compared to the people he regularly has on his show. But, his real big impact is helping shape the philosophical ideals around liberty, cryptocurrencies. And you can really see, the things that Ernie, I'll say things that Ernie bitches about long enough, they eventually get done. So he's had a big influence on that. And it's hard to give this man an intro that isn't 20 minutes long, because he's done just about everything there is to do in politics, including running against John McCain and just about every other office in the state of Arizona. I believe he had the highest third-party vote total in the country, and the Libertarian Party came to him and like, tell us your secret. What'd you do? And he's like, well, I told everybody not to vote, and that's how I did it. And they didn't really like that. And his motto is freedom's the answer. What's the question? So with that, we can just end the interview, because, pretty much freedom's going to be the answer no matter what we have there. But, what I want to do is just want to welcome Ernie to his show. And maybe he can give us one of the classic, it does look like a nice studio. So, could you let us know, where you're broadcasting from, what beautiful studio you're coming from us live today?
Yeah, what we did is we had a Freedom's Phoenix workshop for 2.5 years. It was we're in our 5th workshop. We've been doing this, for about 2.5 years. It'll have a run. 5 times we've done this. And we started back in '94, and it goes a couple of years, and then everybody kind of turns into the honeycomb hideout, and you got no, that's a workshop. So we're going, you're here to work, or you're helping somebody work, or you're just freaking in the way, So it keeps accumulating more and more activists and people. And what we did is we built a studio. We had a really nice video and audio studio, and then a control room with a bus A and B that had, we over this way, and then we turned the glass over this way, and it was just awesome. And we did a lot of stuff. But then we moved up to a horse property, still in Phoenix, but we have a couple of acres here and a barn and so on. And what we did is we took all the T-shirt making and, the mining and woodworking and sign production and our studios and everything, and we put it into my home here. And so now I commute down the hallway, but we still have a lot of, it's just like, open. Everybody just walks in, comes in, and, it's still a lot of activism going on here. But we just changed. I've been waiting for the purging. And for years, I'm going, back in 9-10 after the Levolution, I could see what was going to happen. They, them, those won't leave us alone. They were like, oh, hell no, we don't want to be blindsided again and have all this spontaneous order come up and, out us. So we're going to have to control this thing. Well, I could see it starting to come when they started, like banning or demonetizing and so on YouTube. It started, and Facebook and Twitter. You could see it coming. And I go, nope, we're done. So I set aside and just kind of mothballed all our social media, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. And we went to other platforms and we just left it there. And I go, when they do the big giant purging, why would they get me? I'm not doing anything. So that's exactly what happened. A bunch of our friends, people that we promote and have on the show a lot, boom, they're gone or demonetized or something. I go, yep, here we go. So what we did is over the last few weeks, we have upgraded all our video equipment. We went to HD, got new switchers, HDMI connections of blah, 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 blah. And Tim, you have been a big help in how we can stream and multi-stream and have them record. And we're doing IPFS servers, interplanetary file sharing, that we're having our own files put up so that we can see decentralized networks, but we retain the files. It can never go away. Then there are other platforms like, DLive and Library and, a bunch of others that we are incorporating in, and we start probably by mid-January at the latest, if not the first week in January. And what we're doing is we're demonstrating the decentralization. And the reason is because we want to make sure that people know that you don't need these other platforms. And I'm only going to get probably, I don't know, if I get more in a month, I did it wrong. So we're going to go, hey, everybody, we're on all the platforms. We're back. Look, and we're over there. So that's our goal and what we're set up to do. And I'm hoping that people will realize just how much there is, and people moving over in the truth and the real news, and let the NPC guys and the warriors over, social justice of we got it and warmongering, fear-mongering, whatever the crap can be over there. And we're going to go out and find solutions over here. So that's my goal. That's what we've been working on. It's what I've been waiting on for a long time. I've been doing this 30 years. And when they went from, it used to be in the early 90s, it was BBSs. You would have different nodes and servers in guys' homes that would link up with others, and you get your email eventually later that day and back and forth. And it was starting to grow in speed and abilities. And then the World Wide Web came. When they did the World Wide Web, I go, yep, here we go. Consolidation and internet service providers, where before you could just do dial-up, or you have your own, packet ham radio encrypted, whatever the heck. I mean, there's so many things that once we understood how much we got snookered, that now we're demonstrating with blockchain technology and a bunch of other stuff, just a decentralization as a goal, what can be done. And that's what we're doing. And Tim has been a big help in this. Thank you.
No, thank you. And I was queuing that up to see if you could say, I was asking where you're broadcasting from. I was hoping you're going to say from the Beautiful Studios of Freedoms of the StreamsPhoenix.com. Is that what you needed? Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. And I had some other questions later on about decentralization. So we sort of skipped right to the end and bypassed a lot of it. But when it comes to the decentralization, and actually while you were talking, what I did is I was going on Facebook and posting the links to DLive to my different Facebook accounts saying, don't watch us. We're not on Facebook right now, so go watch us at another platform. So that's kind of what I was setting up. And also we have in the background that you don't really see right now is we've got the ability, and actually right now I can do it where I can stream in like a title like underneath my name. And so when you were talking, I was going and streaming in, where it says, Ernest Hancock, libertarian activist, host. Yeah,
you're going to come over and show me all that goodie, aren't you?
Yeah, and I think actually at some point you should come over here, and then I can show you what we're working with as well.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the decentralization of everything, that's been a huge movement where we see everyone arguing about the left and right, and we're seeing people arguing about Democrats and Republicans, and really, I mean, they're it's when you take a look at statism versus anarchism. I mean, the Democrats and Republicans are pretty much right next to each other, barely vying. I mean, vying for this sliver of statism. And so a lot of people think, okay, well, now that Trump's in office, or now that the Republicans are in office, that everything is saved. When they don't realize that the problem isn't Democrats or Republicans, the problem is the fact that there's government at all. And so what you've been a huge influence in has been really getting people to understand that. And if you don't start seeing, what's going on now with just a charade of this politics, I don't really know when you will. And so Ernie does have freedomsphoenix.com pulled up for everybody, which was pretty much like one of the, it's very much like a drudgereport.com in terms of style, in terms of news aggregation. And we are seeing a little bit of mishap on your end right now, where it's the screen's kind of blinking in and out, and we see your daughters. So I'm not really sure.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
not really
I
sure
was
why
trying to
it's doing that.
share the screen, and it may not be doing that. Let me unshare it.
Cool. Now it looks fine. I don't know what you've done.
Hey man, technology. Is
And
it looking?
now it's going all crazy on us. But this decentralization of everything, especially the communication.
Is it showing it now? Is it okay now?
No, it's blinking in and out with your daughters in the background and the screen. So it's if we have any viewers in Japan, it might be giving them a seizure right now. They're taking a look at it. So
okay, stop share.
But I was going to bring this up later on, but could you maybe bring up or maybe touch on what the IPFS servers are and what that really entails, and why that's such a big thing going forward? Because you see people like, Luke Rudowski getting, I'm sure he'd be somebody in the future that would be getting kicked off. I don't think he still is on Facebook. They didn't get him, but I mean, there's, 800 major pages that were kicked off. I mean, even Sterling Lujan, who's, never really that controversial or never swears or anything, he was kicked off. Obviously,
because he's for decentralization and cryptocurrencies and freedom and stuff. I mean, how much of a reason the bad guys need? I mean, this is common. This is I tell you, I've been once you understand the nature of what we're up against a philosophy of collectivism. They rule us. And there's so much, like today's show with Patrick Wood here in Arizona. It's always Arizona, and Arizona State University has come out being the center of smart city integration, development, and make you and so on. But they know that they can't afford it. I mean, if you want, Bill Gates has bought hundreds of acres in the West Valley out here to have a smart city. Peace. Go do whatever you want. I'd love to have me a Jarvis, Tony Stark, do what I want and need, and hey, Jarvis, I need and get me, and what, that'd be awesome. But I don't need it, connected into the man. I'm going, look, can't I just keep it private? Nope. It's got to be smart metered into the grid or something. And what's happened is they know that they can't afford to, just build this infrastructure, so they're going to have to tax you. We went over the PDF of the finances that they're wanting to do, and we've seen this sustainable development thing coming on in the small communities here in Arizona, and they come in and they go, everybody's got to be on the municipal water and sewer system. Everybody's got to pay per tap, of anywhere you got water coming out, you pay per tap. And it's not even how much water you use. So these RV things out in Quartzsite or something, they got 100,000 RVs coming in. What do they know? We're going to have 100,000 water taps are going to get the tax. Then they got, it just goes on and on and on. Well, in this document, they were showing all the ways that they can get additional funding. We're going to rape the people really good and do this smart city thing that we want to do. And what they've created is a trifecta of academia. They got the college. And if you look at the infiltration, it's like global warming. It just went wham throughout the entire university and every department of everything. Here we go. Then they have the tech industry. They're, we got Intel plants here, and of course, Google and Microsoft and that kind of stuff. And they have tech. Then they got community leaders and policymakers, which means legislators and, city councilmen and so on, that they can special interest and bribe and get whatever. So this is going to be forced down our throats. My thing is like, do it all you want. I don't care. I might want it. I'll buy the house with it. It's like when you get a home or I get a home, all right, how fast is the internet? What's the speed of this? How much? But I don't want to have, nope, you got to use our internet. It's got to be this fast. You can never use anything else. No, by the way, solar's illegal. So this is what's happening. And I can see it. So we're going to have fun. Patrick Wood, technocracy.news, the guy that wrote Trilaterals over Washington in the late 70s, when, you're all conspiracists, about, the Trilateral Commission. Where's your tinfoil hat, boy? Until you get, Rockefeller's on the front page of their website celebrating 40 years going, ha, 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 we get it, It's amazing how much stuff that call conspiracy that turns out to be true. And they're proud of it. And the fact that they got away with it. So Arizona is going to be fun coming into this next year. It's going to be dangerous and it's going to be bad. But the only way to bypass all this control, all of this, that which is not required is forbidden kind of thing. All of that, it's only going to be done and combated with decentralization, to where the individual has, and that's why you go to pirateswithoutborders.com. Your audience, you got time, go to pirateswithoutborders.com. And that's what I was trying to share. You go do that, and you'll see at the top, we have several categories: communication, energy, shelter, food and water, health, transportation, automation, education, and build the ship. We got a pirate ship. Yeah, go watch the video, take the virtual tour, and you'll go, ooh, we got it going on. Because what's happening is each one of these categories are going to be where we can decentralize ourselves with tech. We can bypass all the control mechanisms and mesh network and satellites via common and so on. You can, produce your own energy. Hell, get your bathroom light off of the grid or something. Be able to charge your laptop and phones at least. I mean, these are the kind of things that we're going to be pushing and promoting on decentralized platforms all 2019 up to 2020. For a year, by 2020, I'm going to be, hello, how many pirates we got out there? So we're going to have some fun, and Tim's helping me in. Right on. Thank you.
No, thank you. And I am looking right now at a quote from David Rockefeller. And while I'm saying this, maybe you can go look up pirateswithoutborders.com. I'm having trouble right now loading it. I was able to load every other website. And we've got a quote from David Rockefeller's own memoir, which says, "Some believe we," and it's Rockefeller family, "are part of a secret cabal working against the best interests of the United States, characterizing my family and me as internationalists, and of conspiring with others around the world to build a more integrated global political and economic one world, if you will. That's the charge. I stand guilty and I am proud of it." David Rockefeller. And then he goes on to say, thank you to the Washington Post, New York Times, Time Magazine, and all these other great creditors
for helping us get away with it.
Exactly. And we just saw just today where you saw a meme where it was a guy from, wasn't a meme, it was a Washington Post writer who, I don't want to say journalist, propagandist, who came out and said, back in, several months ago saying, we don't need troops in Syria. And then today he's saying, how dare Trump pull troops out of Syria? And, the real purge is happening from the people that are anti-war. So you've got people that, don't even like Trump, like a Sterling Lujan, who, is anti-war. And, that's the reason he gets kicked off. That really is, if you take a look at an amalgamation of all the people who were kicked off, whether
definitely anti-war.
Whether it's Coplock, whether it's, your friends at antiwar.com, how they were, had Google AdSense and everything else taken off them. That's the one thing that you can't be against, is to be against the wars. And by having this, IPFS server platform in the future, what we have is a way to be able to have our information that can never get taken down. And so Ernie didn't want to make the, effort to go on to all these platforms and build up a huge following, and all of a sudden, boom, it's gone. And so, there's a lot of people out there who, even...
Well, I tell you the reason, let me be clear on why we did it that way. I knew there was going to be a purging. So when that happens, I still wanted to have access to these platforms when there was some other place to go. And I go, look, hey, everybody, we're over here. But there was no sense in me doing that until there was an over here. So that's what we were working on. IPFS, Interplanetary File Sharing, I think is what it stands for. Yeah. About 2-3 years ago, my IT guy, Derek Slopey, from Agris Hosting, he's in Maine, and he goes, Ernie, man, you need to be, everything you've been talking about, this IPFS thing, this is, kind of, we think they got it going on. So it had been developing and so on. There's different attempts at it and such. But basically what it is what if you could have your own server and you load all your files and everything on that. And it's you could access it from anywhere, in the world. You could get your own pictures. You could get this, you could get that. But it also, you could pin files to it so that it stays on that server. Then you share it with the network, and anybody that you make it public and you want to request a file or a video from that on your server, it would take that file and then cache it on their server, and they go, or the nearest server to them, and it would go, all right, and it'd be there for a little while, and after a week or two, it'd drop off if nobody saw it. But then if somebody else requested it, it'd go to the nearest one. Where's the nearest one? And replicate. So that's how it scales, so that we are the internet. Now, I remember where this was, coming into being in the early 90s. It was called bulletin boards, to where, people would have this information there, and then it'd go to another one, and it just scaled. You'd always be able to get your email. You could access different files that they had on these other bulletin boards on Paul Revere Net or Fido Net or these different nets. And I'm going, man, when the World Wide Web came, I go, yep, here we go, consolidation. Well, what happens is with the IPFS servers, if we have some that we sync up, some other people with popular content or freedom content that the bad guys don't like, then we could sync those computers. And we already got 5, 6 lined up now. We have 3 online, at least 2, 3, and the third one's coming online around the world. So we have all our files on there, and then another one, and another one, and another one. Well, they're synced. So they always, whenever one of us add a new file, they're always seeded on the network. So when anybody asks it, they go to the nearest one of those and it gets done. So if the NSA comes in and kicks in, the door here, it'll just, it's already copied somewhere else and it'll repopulate when I turn it back on. So this is the immutability of it, and it never goes away. The problem is scalability. So when you have everybody on this IPFS, or they start putting their own servers and turning on a little bit of their hard drive space to this, then it always scales. The more people that request it, the more copies there are, the faster it goes. Now, there was a program or a project called MaidSafe, MaidSafe.net, MaidSafe.net. And that was just like 5 years ago. They're still working on they wanted to have a complete operating system, kind of like Horizon is doing, the Horizon Crypto,
used to be Zencash.
Yeah, Zencash is what I was looking for. Now it's Horizon. It's a crypto. Well, these guys, if you do it right, you can be secret. You can be always available. You could scale easily with people that participate in the network. So the IPFS servers, this concept, and we'll see how it goes, and it's doing well enough that we're doing it, and then we can seed any decentralized network from our own servers that are in our home. Now, we have server farms, but if the NSA sends a Hellfire missile to that one, boom, it's gone. Now, we have it mirrored and backed up in other places around the world and so on, and under our desk, and then copy every 24 hours of whatever, that kind of thing, just for prudence. But, what you want is that it can never go away. When blockchain technology came out with the nodes for Bitcoin, all of a sudden, a lot of people, they go, oh, you mean like that? Yes. You could take, 1,000 out and they just repopulate. I mean, there's copies of it everywhere. So then you have things like Library that uses the blockchain for their data storage, but they don't have, live streaming yet of video, but you can put the videos there. Then you got DLive that has it there, and they got live streaming, but for now they need a central server to provide the streaming capability until it builds out the network. Horizon, they are already got last I checked, 17,000 nodes or something. So this is coming. It's already here in some forms, and they're just now getting, it's kind of glitchy, and, stuff is happening, and we're, because the people that are participating, real smart guys like Derek, what are they doing? They help make it better. Hey, man, you need to have and add the code, and boom, that gets fixed. So I can tell that by the end of 19, by the time we hit 2020, there's going to be, oh my goodness, alternatives to the internet as it sits now. It's going to be internet 3-point kiss my butt, and there's nothing they can do about it. Well, the biggest thing they're going to do is ISPs, internet service providers, your Verizon, AT&T's, Cox, and that kind of stuff. They go, you do not have a permission slip or approval for these ones and zeros that you're wanting to transmit, and you're not allowed. So I'm going, nope, 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 nope. I don't want to be playing with that. So what we do is I go, all right, what we need is to have a network, a mesh network or UHF on your house, or satellites that are coming. We got all these CubeSats coming. We've been following that since the first CubeSat project that was a Kickstarter years ago. So we knew that here they go. We got Vector Launch Systems, Jim
Cantrell.
Cantrell, thank you, which is the father of Colin Cantrell, which started Nexus Earth, the crypto, which is another full base operating system of the new level of bite me. Well, his father helped start. He was one of the first few guys starting SpaceX with Elon Musk. He went on to do his own small rocket company, Vectors, that are launching, get a few hundred pounds in the orbit, and how much do these CubeSats weigh? So we could launch and have our own Pirates Without Borders cube communication satellite of Socket. So this is going to happen now. This is going through right now. So that's what we wanted to do, is create channels that we can put up and emphasize this and help people, all the stuff that we went through to try and get on these networks and get them stable and working, and the work you're doing, that we can go, look, people, it's viable now. Now we have half the planet. We just had articles on Freedom's Phoenix last week that finally half the planet is now on the internet. Well, the other half is going to get on within the next few years. And what are they going to do? They're going to be asked, well, we need Goldman, sucks.gov coin crypto or something, the fiat of Uncle Sam, knighted or laid hands on this particular crypto, and we need an anal probe and a retina scan, and you get your smartphone provided to you by Jeff Bezos, and they're going to give them on grid, even hell if it's for free. They want them on and get all that data and them to be logged in and facial recognition of, we know where you are. Well, what happens when the opportunity is for them to not, so that they are not on the grid, and they can just open their own wallet with their own smartphone, and they need no ID, no email, no nothing, just a login and a password, and they're able to conduct business around the world with a satellite anytime, anywhere within the next, they're going to start. They've already launched them. They did a bunch last month. They're like 60-something satellites SpaceX put up for this very reason, these private communication platforms. So I'm very excited about the future and what's coming. And it's, I just want to demonstrate this and show them going, really, it's going to be like this. I told you so. I told you so. So we're having fun with it. And that's what Pirates Without Borders is the promotion of decentralization of everything.
And something tells me it won't be the only thing that we're telling people. So, I mean, whether it's the economic front of what we've been saying, screaming, and actually one thing I was doing today before we got on.
Everything's fine.
The one thing I was doing today before we got on is I never had cataloged all the different videos and podcasts I've put out into one place. I've never had a centralized, a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit everywhere. So now I finally went through and I put them all into one place, and we'll back those up as well. So, that way I could get ready for something like an IPFS server.
Yeah. Well, where did you put them? On your own computer? You just have a place to feed?
Yeah, I got one on my computer, then another one in the cloud, another one in another cloud, just in case, anything were to happen. And I was going back to some, to one of them was like an episode where I was being interviewed by Ian Freeman at Anarchapulco. And I was going, because I was trying to make sure it was like the right episode and everything as I was putting different episodes on. And, just like everything I was saying then is like now just, coming true, and like, and just to see, the pushback that I've gotten with, having this more like pro-Trump following that was following me than thinking that I'm a liberal because I'm not on board with everything that Trump is saying. And yet the people that are never Trumpers, and I'm also coining this other term, like the never criticizers of Trump. And I think that the never criticizers are going to actually be the ones that lead like a Hillary 2020 or some sort of Democrat socialist 2020. And there's lots of different things that we could expound upon. And you mentioned earlier Horizon, and part of the reason why they're doing what they're doing, and part of the reason they have a big focus on the privacy messaging, is because you did a show with Rob Viglione from Horizon, where at the very end of the show he's like, yeah, and by the way, we've got this messaging field, and you can send a message and nobody knows.
Yeah, let me tell that story. This is good.
I was teeing it up for you.
Yeah, thank you. Rob comes on, and it was October of the last year, 17.
I was on the show. It was Tone Bays was also there, calling it a scam as usual. But yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it was myself, Tone, and you and Rob were on the show.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a keeper. Well, what happened was he and his IT guy had come on. He was talking about what he was doing, and we had just started. By that time we had fairly developed Pirates Without Borders and what we wanted, and we had the first letter of Captain Mark. Yeah, you go there, and it's really cool. Read the letters of Captain Mark. You can buy the book on Amazon, that kind of stuff. And Davi Barker from Bitcoin Not Bombs is my partner on that. We've been working on that, and Derek, and building this, and he's doing the artwork, and he does a lot of research for the letters. We decide what we want to talk about, and do a position of decentralization, of pirate, bite me, because they go, oh, pirates, pirates are bad, they're bad. And we're going, nah, they call you a pirate whenever you are against all flags. Whenever, now if you got a letter of marque from the king to go lay waste to the Spanish galleon and rape and pillage all you want, and as long as the king got a cut, you were good. You had a letter of marque. So we call it letters of Captain Mark and his female sidekick, reprisal. Letters of marque and reprisal, which is in the U.S. Constitution. Go look it up. So what happens is, the second letter, the first one was kind of, we're raising our black banner and here's why, kind of a Declaration of Independence thing. And they're very short. A lot of them are only 200 words to, oh my goodness, we went 700 words or something like that. Well, what we did is we decided that reprisal would do some of the female issues like anti-war, self-defense, justice system, but the majority of them come from Captain Mark. Well, the second letter that we did was on cryptocurrency. The third letter was on private communications. Well, in there, when I was interviewing Rob, see, I was getting back to it. When I interviewing Rob, I went, look, man, I just want pirate communications. I just need privacy. Can't I send a freaking message that the man doesn't get? Because what I had done is, if I complain about it enough, stuff happens. I call it quantum reality. Ernie starts bitching about something enough, you'll get it. And what I was complaining about is I needed private communications. I go to a lot of these cryptocurrency events and hackathons, and we'll interview people, and at the hackathon, we'll, whoever wins, and you guys will come on the show, the top 3, and we'll do a thing on it, that kind of stuff. And I'm like, why aren't you guys giving me privacy? Why is it you promised me anonymity in this crypto? Then I find out, you go, well, it's pseudo-anonymous, and I look up pseudo, and it means not. And I'm going, wait, I feel like you're just BSing me. Do we or do we not have the ability to have private communications? Well, once I brought up that I needed that, Rob, at the 2 minutes left in an hour show, and he goes, oh yeah, we got the memo field of the crypto with the zero proof of the blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what? I go, you lead with that, man. I go, what the heck? Well, in the crypto transactions, you got these memo fields that have, you can put text in there, and even Satoshi had used it and that kind of stuff. Well, if you have zero proof in the front, then you don't know where it came from. It's encrypted. You don't know what it said, and you don't know who got it. Well, crap, man, that's all you had to say, man. That's it. Well, the audience knew that I was going, oh. So I go, don't worry about it. I get it, Rob, in the after show. And, of course, it's in the archive. But I'm going, are you freaking kidding me, man? You lead with this. May of the following year, so that was 7-8 months later, he comes on the show, and I tell the audience, I said, look, I'm going on Bittrex, and I'm buying me some more Horizon while I'm thinking about it. I'm tired of it. I have them on the show, and everything shoots up all the time. You guys benefit, and I don't get any. And full disclosure, I'm going on right freaking now and buying it. So then we start the show, and I do that, and then I look on the graph, and I go, God, what the heck happened here back in last October where it really shot up? And he goes, it was after your show. The reason is they didn't realize how popular privacy was. When MadeSafe did their promise of this in a crowdsourced funding, they're thinking it's going to take them 3 1-month programs to be able to raise $7 million, blah, blah, blah. They raised it in 5 hours. And I told them, I said, I don't think you guys realize how popular privacy is. Filecoin comes out at the time. They're the biggest ICO of the time, just on the promise of privacy. And I'm going, God, man, you guys, I don't know what evidence you guys need. You're killing me. So he said, when you did that, on their social media and their promotion of Zencash at the time, now Horizon, they started emphasizing their privacy of this more. So when they did that, all of a sudden, boom, you're what? And it shoots up. Neon, I freaking told you so. So now I can see that finally, we all bitch about it enough. And it's not me. I emphasize the free market demand for this. I'm going, look how much money you can make if you give people privacy. Are you freaking kidding me? So every time they add more and more privacy. Now, some people a bitch like Craig Wright, going on about Satoshi Vision, Bitcoin Cash and freaking out all, law is law, code is not law, and everybody must comply and all altcoins must die, and we're going to get you in Hellfire missiles, and you got to have, get sanctioned by the fiat of the Uncle Sam and the Queen and the Crown. And what I'm going, whoa, man, he is definitely not getting what this was all about. But that's what we're up against. And we knew from the beginning that crypto was going to be taken over. It was going to be infiltrated like you wouldn't believe, which has happened. But you can see where the line is. The line is compliance and not so compliant. So we're looking at the not so compliant. Where can I have the features of pirate money, pirate communications, and is none to damn business? Well, this is what's coming, and what I think is the big, giant, the largest threat to the crown that there is, the collectivist mentality. And there's over and over and over, I can tell you a gazillion stories about every single time that you offer more privacy, you shoot to the moon. Well, that makes you a target too, and anybody talking about it gets banned.
Until they can't ban you anymore.
Until they can't. Server. They're going to do it. As long as they can, they will. Because they sure as hell want to. They, them, those, if they can, and maintain, enhance, and expand their power over the individual and do what they want, they are. And why? Because they can. Until they can't. So that's what we're going to be demonstrating in this next year, is all the methods and ways that they can't. No. Well, so I'm excited.
Yeah, well, I was just pulling up. I was searching Rob Biglione, Ernest Hancock, and it seems like for 4 days ago there was a crypto show episode where it was Colin Cantrell of Nexus Earth, Rob Biglione of Horizon, and then next to it says "and its origins" with Ernest Hancock. So yeah, I guess you're getting, at least you're getting, you're not doing this to get credit or anything.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of like, the sayings that you use and so on. And okay, I tell you where Grandma Just Button came from. This is, everybody's always saying, you talk to a Linux guy, Bitcoin guys, they're the same guys, and they're all computer geeks. And they're going, one of the computers will go down, or I got to, build another computer for the video or the audio or something. And they'll go, oh, you got to go Linux. Ernie, why don't you go in Linux? You got to go Linux. You're a communist. You're not Linux. And I'm going, oh, yeah, all right, we'll try. And it would be like a nightmare. And I'm going, man, does somebody just make a Linux computer that has it loaded and I turn it on and it's on? Well, finally, Think Penguin. Right here, this laptop, I love this thing. Think Penguin was at Pork Fest. They showed a component. I go, wait. So what you're telling me is I'm buying a Linux computer that you've tested all the open source of the hardware, the motherboard, it's not backdoored, and it's got Linux operating. And you go, yep. I go, boom. I'm in, man. Let's do it. So I bought this. Now, since then, they've been trying to take over. You can't even get, not compromised motherboards and stuff anymore because they saw where this was going. Well, so during that time, I'm looking for, I'll go in the Linux, but you like Hewlett Packard, HPs. Hewlett Packard had conspired with Microsoft to be able that you couldn't dual boot. It wasn't allowed. You had to like strip it and scrub the hard drive and do whatever to even put Linux on. So I had a friend of mine, I paid him to come in here. I go, he's a smart guy, he's not a computer geek, but and he needed some money. And I said, you know what, hey, you do this and we'll learn it together. You go read all the forums and do all the stuff about how this is being, and we'll load up Linux if we can do some video editing. So he went through all this and found out what was really going on. It was an open conspiracy to make sure you couldn't do it easily. So I'm going, all right. So finally I get some guys on. They go, oh, it's a just button. You can just put on just. Really? So we went and did a 3-hour show and had to go another 2.5 hours to finish it. 5 hours for a person that knew what they were doing to try and get it to do what we wanted it to do. So I'm going, look, you guys say you just this and you just that. Come over here and show me this just button you guys keep talking about. Well, of course, they'd be pounding on the keyboards for ever. And I go, that doesn't look like a grandma just button for me, man. I need grandma just button. Who am I thinking of? My wife. She's grandma. We got 11 grandkids, 4 kids, 11 grandkids. And I'm going, look, I need the grandma just button, on a wallet. When I'm screaming about that, Bitcoin Not Bombs with Drew Phillips and Davi Barker, they said, you need to talk to this guy, Paul Pulte, that's doing Airbits. When Airbits first came out, that was the first grandma just button Bitcoin wallet. I'm going, thank goodness, finally. Well, his thing was, he goes, these young guys, they don't understand the need for graphic user interface to be easy for grandma, because a lot of these guys, they liked it being complicated. Hell, pay me as a consultant. I'll do it for you. You know, I'm going, you guys are killing me. You want wide adoption, but what they were thinking, they wanted sanction from the man or something. I'm going, no. You want wide adoption? Give me something easy to use, a grandma just button. So I kept saying that, you know, over the years, and it kind of gets adopted like a lot of things, which is why I do this. The books, the letters of marque, I go to these crypto things and I'm looking for the 13 to 23-year-old sitting in the corner with 4 of his buddies on their $4,000 laptop. And I go, look, here's the philosophy. You're supposed to be giving me freedom here, not another link in the chain to the crown. So when these venture capital guys come in their, you know, their $1,200 suit without their tie, you know, thinking they're being cool, and walk and say, what's up? We'll give you a Lambo and code for our and we'll make a big giant and, you know, and enslave another generation of people. I go, at least give me a freaking off-ramp or something, a back door to freedom or something. Holy crap, don't enslave another generation. Well, there are some people out there that philosophically they get it. And a lot of the guys I've been interviewing for a decade that are, you know, people that I trust, or at least go in this direction. Now, of course, they get pressure from them and the man, and they don't want to sit in jail for the rest of their life, but they know. And, you know, behind the scenes, a little fun to over here or something, they're doing it. So this is why I'm so excited. I've been doing this a long time. I've been an political activist since the late 80s when I was 28 years old, raising 4 kids in this. And I knew what was coming. It's going to get bad. It's going to be the left jackboot or the right jackboot or the jackboot on your throat party. And I knew that it was going to take where we could be and use and communicate and do money without surveillance of the crown, without them being able to stop it, without them censoring it, without them tracking it. When is that going to happen? Well, it's right here, and at least it's that close. So we're going to be emphasizing that, and that's why.
Well, it's just amazing how so many of these different stories sort of like dovetail right into other stories, especially since we've been friends now for a while. And you get into, because we mentioned, you know, Colin Cantrell. I mean, that was another guy. Speak of, you know, long episodes. I mean, you just talked about it, you know, a 5-hour episode. I think with him, you guys had like a, you know, 16-hour episode.
18 hours. He came in at 6 a.m. We did the show.
So I under-exaggerated at 16 hours. It was 18 hours. Okay.
No. We went to midnight that night. It edited down to a 9.5-hour show. A lot of his staff, they're very thankful. They go, oh, thank God. You know, I listened to that thing like 3 times, you know, just to understand what the heck he's talking about. Because what we did, it was him, and on that show was Patrick Byrne from Overstock, you know, T0. You know, Patrick's been on the show since 2009 when he was fighting naked short selling against
I've been T0 ever since then. Again, not financial advice. I just like the technology, what they're doing. But when I heard that episode, I was just like, man, this is incredible. Like, I just see like where the world's going, and he's just so far out in front of things. And then the fact that they just sold off their main retail, or they're about to sell off their retail unit to
that's old tech, man. Yeah. That's old stuff. We gotta get rid
I think
of that.
Didn't he break that? Didn't he break that on your show? I think that the T0 or what, you know, what he had planned.
Yeah, he broke a lot of stuff. You know, we would talk. Well, you know what happened was, I was really encouraging for him to, you know, he came and spoke at one of our freedom summits and so on that we do. And when he went to Pork Fest, I knew that, you know, that was going to do it. And he's like, I found my tribe. You know, this is, you know, there was a lot of people that understood the philosophy that he was supportive of. And when blockchain technology came out, he's a Stanford freaking, you know, computer math geek. He understood exactly what was going on. He's going, let me tell you what's up. He was telling me that, you know, a bunch of stories, but they have like on a whiteboard, like 160 industries that they're going to totally wipe off the planet, you know? So this is just getting started. Well, on that show, Colin, his goal was, and he's telling me how great and wonderful Nexus was and how much better it was than Bitcoin and so on. I go, you know what? Until you can explain to me and I can fully understand Bitcoin, how the hell do I know why Nexus is better than Bitcoin? I go, I have yet to have, no matter, I drill down and you start asking more and more questions, and people, they tell you they're experts. They think they know. They may think they know more than you, but they don't really know. And I'm going, yeah, I've run into a bunch of these guys.
You start getting into the Merkle tree of the everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you go listen to that Collins show. You put that in the links, you know, in this video. They go listen to that, and all of a sudden they'll get, you know, the PhD and freaking I get it now. So, you know, why is it 256? Where did shot 256 come from? And you go,
NSA.
well, it's because the pro guy. Go, but why is it 256? Why is it not 257? I mean, why is it 64-bit or 8-bit, or they have the own encryption of that? I mean, we went to, all right, here we have, you know, ones and zeros in the binary. Good, we start there.
And he was another guy who at the very end of his show was like, oh yeah, and by the way, we've got these satellites that we're going to be launching to have a cute. And you're like, you didn't lead with that, you know. That was right. It was like him and
well,
Rob,
we went. Davi and I went down to his father's the rocket production before he went to his new place when they were making their first rockets down in Tucson. It's here in Arizona, and we went down there, got the tour, and we weren't allowed to take pictures inside for some reason. I mean, it's just bent metal and welds. I mean, you know, seriously, but it's because it's it's a right to keep and bear intercontinental ballistic missiles. I mean, you know, the ITAR, they don't like you know, being able to do intercontinental ballistic missiles. But so we went down, they showed us their production facility and everything, and we did a 3-hour show with Jim, and it was awesome. We had a really good time. Well, so we became good friends with Jim. I really like him. And then Colin, we went through about 7 whiteboards. We just kept erasing, and I kept one here, you know, the last one up for months, you know, showing people what we understood. Well, we take breaks, and I, you know, edited that 18 hours, edited down to 9.5 hours, because Donna was feeding us and, you know, give us coffee, and we were just going until I couldn't take it anymore. And at like 11:55 is when we found, okay, I get it. Now tell me from all this I understand about blockchain and Bitcoin now, tell me what the first thing is that makes Nexus better. And he went back to the very beginning, and we eliminated this choke point here from, and I go, okay, that's another show. We'll do that another time. So we just got like 5 minutes of Nexus. Then he came back, and we, you know, did another show kind of to promote Nexus. And we probably would have been better off if we just continued. But it was so clear that you have Grandpa here going, whoa, 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 stop. Explain what you just said. Then we would stop. We go to the whiteboard, and I'd come back, and we start the video again, and I'd go, all right, here's what I just learned and what he said. All right, now, did I say it right? Because a lot of these tech guys, they don't speak layman English with everybody. I'm like, man, stop, you're killing me. So with both of us doing it and him being very patient, 18 hours, Colin's been very patient with me. He's been really awesome. He takes the time and explains stuff to me, and, you know, doesn't consider me an idiot, you know, just uninformed. And he takes the time for me to really understand it. When I can understand it, that means a whole bunch of my audience can understand it, because they're a lot smarter than me. So we went through this. All of a sudden now I get it. I understand why you do different things the way you do. I understand where the improvements can be made. I understand, you know, what the power is and what the other options are. So this is where you get all these other cryptos. There's improvements that you can make in different places. But it was philosophy. It's a philosophy of what was this really for? Well, Bitcoin, when it got taken over by, which we knew was coming, you know, it's, might as well just call them Fed governors of developers getting paid for by whatever, the guy with the miners or something, and, you know, what was it, Blockstream, and we want to be GoldmanSachs.gov coin and store of value kind of crap. And I'm like, no, why is it valuable?
But in order to do that, you'd have to do this, and you know how hard that would be. And you're like, yeah, we've got unlimited resources that they wouldn't be able to somehow be able to infiltrate. And we've got, you know, the Henry DeCastries with the Bilderberg group, and
that's all I needed to know right there. I'm going, who is that? Going, hell, wasn't he Bilderberger guy?
I was actually the guy that sent you that email about that.
Yeah, right.
Lost over, because the first company I ever was recruited to work for was AXA. And I knew, and then getting into all this world and knowing about Bilderberg Group and AXA and Henry DeCastries, that is, since I had looked into them quite heavily, I just happened to know that. And yeah, you can just see it from a mile away, and you can see that, you know, what gets me is you've got, you know, Paul Warburg, the creator of the Federal Reserve System, said we shall have a one world government. It's only a matter if it's through consent or conquest. And you're going to see these people who are begging for it. They're going to be begging for their own enslavement. They're going to be begging for, we need a government. The only thing, people that come up to me and talk to me about crypto, this is a great technology, except, it's not backed by the government. I'm like, yeah, that's what makes it great.
That's my favorite part, So when that became, I'm going, look, we're done. Like we'd have Tone Vase on, Tone's a good friend. He stayed here. And so I've known him for a long time. And he's like, well, so, and he'd justify whatever, go listen to the shows with Tone. But, then it was Roger Ver that I've known for a long time, and he's come on quite a bit. And I know that, he's passionate about the philosophy, as is Eric Voorhees. I'm a big Eric Voorhees fan. And what happened was Eric did Satoshi Dice, and then he went to Bit Instant, and we did the first, cash at the bank that got my crypto, went to my wallet and went and got silver. And I'm going, this is like in 13 or something. I'm going,
then Charlie got sent to jail.
Yeah, right after that, and Eric's like, damn, man, you can't go on Ernie's show. They'll use it against you in a court of law kind of deal. But but
he's in trouble again right now. Did you see for the salt?
No.
They're going.
Okay, let me finish. Tell me what this is, but I want to give the lineage here. You do Satoshi Dice. He goes to Bit Instant, and they're trying to comply. I spent $8,000 a day on lawyers to try and comply in New York. They didn't want you to be able to comply. And then he goes to Pulte out of Panama. And the idea was you have these Nokia flip phones, of which there's like 1 billion. And all of a sudden you see in the news that 40% of Kenya's GDP was in cell phone minutes, because they made it possible for you to go, all right, how many cell phone minutes do you need for an egg? How many eggs get me a cell phone minute? And all of a sudden it became currency when their currency went to crap. Well, he's going, well, if you can do text message, addresses, transfers, and so on, and you may need a third-party service without a smartphone. Well, that's what Coinapult was going to be, was open up these billion phones to be able to do crypto. Well, the man didn't like that none too much, and that's why they went to Panama to try and get away from him. And then, he got, all right, well, that's not going to work. They're not going to let us do that. He goes to, I think it was Switzerland, and he does Shapeshift. Well, when he did Shapeshift, it was that, none of your business, no account, and you do and transfer and done. And I'm going, yeehaw. Well, then it went KYC, know your customer. Why? Because they're threatening him with a Hellfire missile or something behind the scenes of something. So I know that Eric is like, when it comes time, he's got the resources and the right philosophy, as, a lot of us do, and Roger and so on. That's why I target, these guys. I look at where are they going in this, because they're doing it for the right reasons, as a currency, as a cheap, I'm make $5 a year in the podunk little Africa community of in the wilderness of whatever, and I have a satellite communication with my phone that I want to be able to support this group or this concept or going to Mars or whatever, and I can send a nickel that costs me a nanocent to be able to do it, and it's wallet voting. And the billions of people that are coming online that don't have to have a bank account, that can support different concepts and do commerce, this is what the bad guys are afraid of. So I'm going, all right, so now, because I don't know, and I'm wondering what happened, Eric Voorhees, tell me what he's up against now.
So now he is in hot water over salt lending, which, out of all the things that he's been doing, this would seem to be the most innocuous of out of anything that he's possibly done. But he's definitely a guy that's been, always one step ahead of the crowd, one step ahead of the government too, and I'm sure they want to nail him. But what they're saying is, since he had, as part of this settlement with, I believe it was Satoshi Dice and one of those, he had a settlement where he couldn't be
$60,000 and get out of jail free card or something.
Well, also part of that was that he couldn't then do anything in the securities realm. So now they're saying that the salt lending ICO was a security, and that he broke the security laws for doing salt lending. And actually on the last, I just started this 2 weeks ago, standardizing. I'm doing actually, it's right after your show on Wednesdays. I'm now doing a live crypto news show where I'm getting different people every week and guests and going over just the crypto news. And until I started doing this about a month ago, I didn't even realize how much in a 1 week time span, it's almost too much to even go over. Everyone's talking about crypto being dead. But, on the last episode, we did talk about this. And unfortunately, the man is starting to catch up with him and himself, just like Roger. Because, when I started getting into looking into Bitcoin, you were a person who, would send me to different people to look into. And I still remember the first time I met Roger Ver, or probably the only time I met Roger Ver. I told him I was staying with you over at Acapulco, and he's like, "Does Ernie let you sleep, or does he?" Because he's got a story about everything. And then it's funny, and I knew at one point that I was in trouble when you had told me that I was looking too much into the news. I'm like, okay, when you've got Ernest Hancock telling you that you're too deep into all this, I'm like, that's when you know that you're too deep into all this. But
well, what's the end result with Eric? I mean, are they threatening him with death, dying, and destruction, or you got to plead guilty, or I mean, are they just kind of warning them that they want to come after him, or I mean, what's going on?
It's in the very early stages right now where he's got a lawyer who's saying, that he's glad to represent such a visionary such as Eric, but this is like very, it's been going on for about a month. So we don't actually, they've let it be known that they have a problem with what he was doing over at Salt. And I didn't even know he was part of Salt, but I guess he was the CEO of that too. So he's just got his hands in everything. And that was,
I remember when he was doing Coinapult and Pama, one of the things that he was doing is they were trying to, to make crypto more stable so that you could do payroll and make your electric bill and that kind of stuff, that they were locking in prices. And what they would do is you go, all right, I'll keep mine in crypto, but I need it to make sure that it's worth this much. And they would take that bet. They would take that position. They go, we're trying to make crypto a currency. So what they would do is they would lock it. And it would be worth that at the end of the month when you had to pay your bills, whether it went up or down, and, then they would benefit or lose, and they were kind of counting on it going up. So they didn't care as long as they got the crypto, and people then would be able to use it to make payroll and that kind of thing. So, the man didn't like that one either, so I don't know what happened with that and how much Eric was involved in that. But, the Salt thing, Lenny, it might have been kind of something like that. I don't know. I haven't kept, track of a lot of this stuff, but I do know this. Eric is very passionate. And whenever he speaks or he goes on, he's on the stage of some seminar and the FBI guy or SEC guy just spoke and whatever, he's like, yeah, well, screw them because we're going to, be free and they can suck it and whatever. And he's pretty open about it. So they don't like it when you do that. And Roger Ver is the same way. And I remember for a long time, Roger gave up his U.S. passport and, renounced his citizenship or whatever the heck he was doing. And for years, he didn't come back into the U.S. He just couldn't get a visa or exit or whatever. And finally, one way he made it. Now he's coming and administrations change and so on. But
first he had to get permission to leave. So let's just clear. He had to get permission to drop his U.S.
Right. That's another thing. Who was I talking to? Oh, it was just yesterday or day before I had Doug Casey on, and he was going, it used to be that you had this piece of paper that was done by, Fred's passport, and it was a travel corporate document of whatever the heck, and he just used that, and he got like a dozen countries that would, I don't care, stamp it and you're done. Well, now they know you come in, and do you have permission to leave? We went to Acapulco a couple of years ago. My wife, when you go, they give you this green kind of shiny, it was just a little document that says, this is when you came in, make sure you present this when you leave. It references you came in paper or something. And she just thought it was just another piece of paper or a bunch of crap. She just threw it away. So I'm going, whoa, we're going to need that one, So we had to go to the, in the airport, the passport people of filling out and doing and play stupid and dumb American and help us get whatever. So it took hours for us to get our documentation to be able to leave. And I'm going, man, this is bad. This tells you something ain't right. So I'm looking forward to a world where we're just pirates.
I didn't know I was supposed to keep that either. And luckily I was able to rummage through my crap and I didn't throw it out. But I think it was probably you that's like, well, where's that piece of paper? And luckily I found it. So I didn't,
Yeah, I learned that lesson, myself. I'm just going, Tim, you better find that piece of paper.
Yeah, and there's so many more things we could talk about, but I know that we're coming up on Christmas. My wife got home a little while ago, and we've got to do some
boom. You got to go, man.
Activities. But I would like to have you on again to talk more about yourself because I know we got into a lot of different rabbit holes, and like at some point, I'd like to talk about the early days of the Ron Paul revolution, and your career as an activist from a 28-year-old to where you are today. But, there's so many different dovetails of things that, that, I mean, you could, if you're ever,
I got a story for everything.
Yeah, you're like a one-man filibuster if you ever, if you told enough people not to vote for you and somehow managed to get into office, you'd be the guy, filibustering, and I don't think anyone could stop you.
The first thing I do is demand a recount. This has been there's so much, but it all comes down to one thing: the individual. If you're not, we nothing, me. It's all about me and mine and my family. It's me. What can I do? And I always ask 3 questions. Everybody go, oh, you should come here. You should do this or join our thing. And I go, I got 3 questions. What do I have to do? What can't I do? What's your conflict resolution? And by those 3 questions, you're going to have to, I don't want to play. Well, you can't. Well, I don't care. I don't want to be part of it. Well, a conflict, we haven't really, and then the man's going to do it, or the crown, or see, it's real simple. And technology now, everything about me and everything that I advocate is coming down to the individual to be free to come, to go, to do commerce, to interface, to communicate without permission slips. That is 1984, and they're behind schedule. That which is not required is forbidden. This is, I can feel it, but we have hope. That's why I'm so excited. Why I'm so optimistic. When I give presentations, it's like, why am I so optimistic in all of this? It's from people like Tim. Tim has been a big inspiration to me. When we came to him with problems about all these people that were getting filthy, stinking crypto rich and everything, how can they protect themselves? What if they were on Coinbase? What if they did get, and it went to gazillion, and that's what Tim's been doing. And he took the risk to give up a promising career when you got in-laws and family and wives and stuff going, man, what the heck are you doing? He had the vision, like a lot of other people, to make the right decision for the right reasons. And your children and my children and grandchildren are going to be very appreciative that you had the right philosophy and the confidence to pursue this. So blessings on you, Tim. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you as well. And another line that I stole from you is you used to say, no one's more for minority rights than myself. Because I probably messed it up. If you
no, we have all these guys. They were it was the Southern Poverty Law Center. They came on and
Mark Kotak and
we'd go ouch quit it back and forth. And they go, well, minority this. What do I go? Well, I'm for minority rights more than you are. And they go, oh yeah, and I go, yeah, I'm for the smallest minority, the individual. I go,
me.
How come I'm for me? When did that stop? And that's, I don't know where I got it, probably an Ayn Rand thing or something. I mean, it's been kind of part of our philosophy since forever. Yeah, I'm that libertarian, But it's the individual is the smallest minority, and they tend to forget that. For some reason, it's all identity group politics, but it's still got to be a group, and they want to jump in front of that group and say they represent you. Oh, and have you pay for it. So it's just, this is unsustainable philosophy that these guys are espousing and forcing us into. It's unsustainable. So we have to plan for what is sustainable, and it's just now starting to happen. And with the Lovolution, with Ron Paul's thing back in 07 and 08, it was a demonstration of spontaneous order. It was a demonstration of just people left alone. That's why I didn't make a big deal that I, started it or the logo or didn't, it was probably, nobody knew it really en masse until Reason Magazine, Brian Doherty outed me. But until then, nobody, where did that come from? I didn't make a big deal out of it because I didn't want it around an individual. It was the philosophy. And Ron Paul understood that too. It's the philosophy. It wasn't Ron. He's like in May of 07, he goes, hey, thanks for letting me join your revolution. And I'm like, yeah, he gets it. This is the people's revolution. It's a love-volution. It wasn't an individual. If you want to kill a movement or a cause, let me tell you how you do it. You try to control it. If you don't control it and you allow for spontaneous order around a philosophy of just leave me aloneism and individuals, it'll take off and there's nothing that can stop it. I've witnessed this over and over, and I feel another one coming, and it's right here. Watch.
And we'll leave guys on that. Freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com, pirateswithoutborders.com. You can find them on lrn.fm.
9 to noon Eastern.
sorry, 9 to noon Eastern.
Yeah.
And yeah, so thank you for coming on the show today. We're going to end this, and hope you have a Merry Christmas. Why would anybody want to buy Bitcoin inside their IRA? I mean, the whole point of Bitcoin was to have peer-to-peer electronic cash. So why are you going to have a financial intermediary buy Bitcoin for you? Why don't you just cash out your 401k, cash out your IRA, cash out your retirement plan, and just buy Bitcoin on your own? Well, the reason for that is if somebody had January 1st, 2017 invested $100,000 into Bitcoin, and then 1 year later, they would have had, after taxes and the 10% penalty, they would have just under $900,000. So you would have turned $100,000 into close to $900,000. So you're obviously doing something right. However, there is a better way that they could have done it. What they could have done is they could have done a Roth conversion. With the Roth conversion, you save the 10% penalty, so you've got 10% more that could be invested into crypto. And the beauty of this is that now all of your gains are now forever tax-free. So you put the $100,000 in, and now, and again, you're getting out of paying a 10% penalty, and now after even all my management fees, you now have a little over $1 million. We have all the exact specific numbers linked down, or should be on the screen right now. I don't have it memorized, but to me, $1 million sounds a little bit better than $900,000, and having tax-free gains forever sounds better than having $900,000 that now any appreciation or hopeful potential appreciation would then be subject to tax. And the other reason why we thought of this, or really the genesis of this, is I had heard a lot of people doing this, and I thought that, hey, there's got to be a better way. But the main reason is you've got a lot of people who the only money they have to invest is inside of their retirement accounts. A lot of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, even people who have $1 million IRAs, a lot of them don't have actual extra money to invest. They don't have rainy day funds. And the rainy day funds should be kept in actual safe, liquid, basically cash or really short-term treasury bills. It shouldn't be invested into Bitcoin. And so a lot of people just don't have that extra money to invest. And so taking a small percentage of your IRA or 401k and then, putting it into Bitcoin, if you know what you're doing and you understand the risk and you actually believe in this philosophically, is actually, I think, a good move to make. So again, if you're going to pull money out of your 401k to buy Bitcoin, you should talk to myself, because I think that the Roth IRA conversion is a much better way of doing things, and that is why somebody would want to consider having Bitcoin inside their IRA as opposed to cashing out their 401k and just buying it outright. Okay, well, that's great. You've got people who have IRAs and 401ks, and there's different things you can do, or that I can do to help them out. But what about the person that has maybe a few $1 million of gains, and they bought it on Coinbase or Kraken, or they got several millions of dollars of gains, and all of a sudden now you want to go buy your Lambo or buy a new house? I mean, there's no way you're going to be able to skirt around the IRS, because they're going to wonder, hey, how'd you get that $500,000 to buy a new house? Well, for those people, probably the best person to explain this is actually my friend Ernest Hancock, as he was giving me an introduction at Anarchapulco. Anyways, I'll let Ernie take it away, because we can also have advanced trust strategies for the people that have millions of dollars of gains. This is not just for people who are looking to invest parts of their IRAs or 401ks.
A good friend of mine, Tim Pulte, he's a financial advisor at Scottsdale. He'll be speaking at the TDV event. To be able to bring the crypto into the system, how would you be able to do a foundation of trust, of this, of that, and so on? And Tim was at the party, and I go, Tim, what up? He's been spending months that he's getting ready to present to you guys Monday on how you can take your crypto and not pay capital gains on it, not have taxes on it. I'm going, man, you need to talk to Tim, okay?